I'm Gaz, and this is Let's Play The Great Ace Attorney, Chronicles. So, I was a pretty big fan of Phoenix Wright back in the day, and in fact it is those games that I specifically bought a Nintendo DS for. This game, that I just found out actually exists, seems to take place sort of at the end of the Meiji era in Japan, which, if you don't know, is the point in history where Japan started opening up to the world through war. They fought the Chinese, the Russians, then the Chinese again by way of Korea and Manchuria, and, you know, ultimately culminated in World War II dropping bombs on them. So it's an interesting time period, to say the least. So why don't we just go ahead and get started? Now, I do want to say, there are a few volume things with this game. I unfortunately cannot control any of that. This game is one of those where volume options are basically, do you want sound or don't you? Which sucks. So the music might not be the same as the dialogue and all that. Sorry.
The Empire of Japan. After opening its doors, a push for cultural transformation brought great waves of Western influence to this far eastern island nation. The revolution washed over the land, making life in the capital exciting and unsettling. It was a period of great change, and some was swept away by the tide. But for one man, the turbulence of that era was just the beginning of an extraordinary story.
Episode 1, The Adventure of the Great Departure. I hope this is a fully voiced game. Judicature? Judicature? I've never heard that. It is not. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe this is happening. How can it be that just beyond the doors to this quiet little chamber is the highest court in Japan, waiting to decide my fate? What? Oh. Oh, nothing. Save your glares, murderer. Sorry. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. So, Naruhodo is a phrase kind of like, oh, I see, in Japanese. I'm a second-year student in the Imperial Yume University. 3 days ago, I somehow found myself in the middle of a horrifying incident. And now, here I am, awaiting my trial. That's enough. Enough music? Oh, no, it's him. He's not obliged to listen to such abuse, officer. But who are you? I don't know what voices I'm doing. I'm just gonna read it. I'm this man's lawyer. I'll be defending him today. Lawyer? Yes, and until the judge has given his verdict on the case, no one has the right to treat him as a criminal. So, you will hold your tongue. Technicalities. Look at you. You haven't even graduated yet. Really? We got a rookie lawyer here? Is that what's going on? And yet, I still seem to know better than you how a court officer should behave. Right, Ryunosuke? Yes, of course. Sorry. This is very reminiscent of the beginning of Phoenix Wright. What are you apologizing to me for? No, I suppose that wasn't my fault. But really, Kazuma, I never meant to drag you into this. I'm sorry. Ah ha 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 ha. There you go again, apologizing. Just like always. though I must say you've been all over the newspapers these past few days. Yume University professor murdered in cold blood by student. But obviously, you didn't actually do it, did you? Of course not. You have to believe me. I didn't do it. I could never murder someone. Then there's nothing to worry about. Straighten yourself up. Hold your head high. You mean... I believe you. I know you're innocent, Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke. Kazuma Hasogi, my best friend. And also his second year at Yume University. In his second year. I need to read. But he's far more clever than I. A star student, in fact. It's right there. He's even a qualified lawyer. Impressive, considering he's still an undergraduate. Oh, it's not that impressive. The very concept of lawyers is only a few years old, here in Japan anyway. My qualifications don't mean much, yet. I said exactly the same thing 3 days ago. But I'm proud to have a friend like you, Kazuma. Truly. 3 days ago. Yes, that's when all this started. Congratulations, Kazuma. It looks like you're going to get to study abroad at last. I know, I've been forever dreaming of this day. Finally, those government elites have acknowledged my academic achievements and successes in court. So you'll be representing Japan as you immerse yourself in the most sophisticated legal system in the world. I'm really happy for you, and proud as your friend. There's not a soul in the university who doesn't know Kazuma's name. He's a living legend. It's like there's some mysterious aura billowing around his temple. I want to bring about change in our own legal system. That's why I have to cross the ocean to see the real thing with my own eyes. The heart of the British Empire. I wish I could see it too. And come with me. We'd have a wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's City of London together. Only it were that simple. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a while longer. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. It was straight after that. That's when it happened. Hasogi, may I have a word? Professor, I didn't know you were coming. you have to progressively go deeper every time the characters get older in anime, right? That's how that works? Well, this case has personal significance to me. But never mind that for now. Hasogi, you should go immediately to the judge's chambers. His Excellency's chambers? Why? He was looking for you before. You advocating for the defense in this trial was a sudden decision. It seems there may be some confusion about procedures today as a result. Who is this man? I feel as though I've seen him at university before. I see. I'll go at once then. I am not doing an anime. I shall accompany you. Alright then. Ryunosuke, I'll see you in the courtroom. Yes, thanks, Kazuma. This is awkward. If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. Mikotoba. See, the thing about Japanese is that in certain syllables, usually like around K's and G's and some others, sometimes the vowels are silent. I'm a professor of forensic medicine at Yume University. Professor Mikotoba. I've heard that name from Kazuma before. As I recall, he's been pushing to get the government to agree to Kazuma studying abroad. Hasogi has told me about you. You and he are best friends, I understand. As such, I feel you should know. Know what? Well, as you've no doubt heard, Asogi's been granted permission to go and study in Great Britain. However, if he should fail to defend you in today's trial, I'm afraid that that permission will be revoked, and never granted again. What? Nani? As I suspected, you were unaware of this. I had a feeling Asogi may have chosen not to tell you. He's agreed to defend me, knowing that if he fails, his dreams will be shattered? But I don't understand. Why would the government do such a thing? The administration has to choose from a large number of applicants for overseas study. It's very difficult to persuade them to grant permission, even in the most favorable of circumstances. I don't believe it. But I didn't do it, I swear. I'm not a murderer. I'm sure that's true. Nevertheless, I can assure you that proving your innocence will be no easy task. You see, there are certain peculiarities about today's trial. Sorry? What do you mean? You'll soon understand once proceedings get underway. But then what should I do? Well, naturally, I'm not going to suggest doing anything that could lead to a conviction. Right, so as soon as the trial starts, the judge will pose a certain question to the defense. When that happens, you must answer before anyone else. You must say, I do. I do? But what will the question be? Surely not. Do you accept the accusations brought before you? Of course not. Defendant. Court is about to begin. Proceed to the courtroom at once. It would seem our surreptitious discussions are to be cut short. So allow me to summarize. Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. Of course, as the defendant, the final decision is yours. What are you waiting for? Do you want to be found guilty for failing to appear? Get moving. There's no point in anyone advocating for the likes of you anyway. This is it. If this trial goes badly, Kazuma's dreams of studying abroad are over. And what's more, I'll be found guilty of murder. So, with absolutely no idea of what lay ahead, I embarked on that unforgettable trial. Did he say this guy can't be my lawyer? My one and only chance of proving my innocence, the trial that could decide my destiny. The 22nd of November, 9 a.m. The judicature, that's a weird word. Courtroom number 2. So this is a courtroom. The Supreme Court of Judicature. No court in the land has more power. I don't much like the look of those people sitting in the public gallery. Lots of military and other uniforms in there. The powers that have been the powers that be have demanded that this be a secret trial. A secret trial? A trial that's closed to ordinary members of the public. Only military and government officials may attend. What? But why? It'll become clear in time, but for now, you need to concentrate, Ryunosuke. It's about to begin. Okay. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The prosecution is ready, Your Excellency. Oh, gee. As is the defense. Before we begin, there is one point of order I would like to confirm. Yesterday evening, the defense made a last-minute request for a change of advocate. That's correct, Your Excellency. I made the request myself. Normal procedure is for the defendant's advocacy to be decided 2 days prior to trial. As this is an unusual circumstance, I'm obliged to ask for final confirmation now. Who advocates for the defendant in this trial? We're defending ourselves here? This is it. This must be the question. Who's going to defend me? That's the question the professor meant. But then, if I say, I do... I need to answer quickly. What should I do? I do! Your Excellency, no confirmation is needed. As I'm standing here beside the defendant, I hope it's clear who will advocate... What is the meaning of this unruly outburst? I would like to inform the court that I, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, will be defending myself. You'll be... Nani? What are you playing at, Ryunosuke? Professor Mikotoba told me everything, just now, before the trial. Oh, sorry. I was at the wrong one. He did what? We'll just pretend that was a stage whisper. He said that your dreams of studying abroad would be dashed if you were to lose. How sad. It means you don't have faith in me. You think I won't be able to get you off. No, that's not that really. It's just that, well, on the off chance that things don't go well for me, I couldn't bear to be the reason that you... Yes, I knew that's how you'd feel, which is exactly why I decided not to tell you. Professor Mikotoba shouldn't have stuck his nose in. Very well. The court hereby recognizes the defendant's desire to advocate for himself in today's trial. Well. Does the accused admit defeat already, renouncing his own counsel? Freely.
Objection!
Make no mistake, counsel. This merely shows that the defendant's innocence is so apparent, he's confident he can speak for himself. Isn't that so, Naruhodo-san? Uh-huh. Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly what I wasn't thinking. Not confident at all. In fact, my mind's a complete blank. I realize you're in charge now, but still, try not to look so bewildered. Well, for a mere university student to be brought before the Supreme Court, you must have perpetrated a most heinous crime indeed. As you are no doubt aware, this is the Supreme Court of Judicature of Japan. Accordingly, the very highest standards of conduct are expected of all present. Do I make myself clear, Defendant Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency. It is therefore my duty to assess your competence for the task you have undertaken. My competence? What does that mean? He's questioning your ability to do the job. Well, he can't be questioning it more than I am. So, let's start with the very simplest of questions. Yes. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. Well, that's easy enough. I've heard his name more times than I'd care to remember. But, wait. I'm so nervous I can't even remember that. What was it again? Ryunosuke. Let me guess. Your mind's gone blank? You know me so well. All the relevant information for this case can be found in the court record. But I can't even find that. It's simple. You can access the court record with a press of E. If you ever find you've forgotten something, just consult that. It's all in there. I just have to press E for the court record? All right. There's no time to lose. See the list of evidence you've collected. Now try switching to people instead with E. I'm glad that there's on-screen hints for all of this stuff. You'll find details about the victim in here. When you're done, just press Z to go back. I'm going to guess that's this guy. Let's go ahead and go over everybody anyway. Kazuma Asogi, 23, a second year at the Imperial Yume University. He's my best friend and, despite being a student, a qualified defense lawyer as well. Eugene Mikutova, 42, a medical school professor at the Imperial Yume University. He's an authority in forensic medicine and Kazma's mentor. Taketsuchi Auchi, 51, the lead prosecutor of the case, who would appear to have little love for the changes the Cultural Reformation has brought about. And John H. Wilson, 47, the victim of this case. He was a visiting professor of medicine at Yume University from the British Empire. So remember, everything to do with the current case can be found in the court record. Now, you better not keep His Excellency waiting any longer. Go on. Find the victim in the People section of the court record, then press R to present. Try it now.
Yes!
The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Well, at least you can remember the name of an esteemed member of your own university. The Dr. Wilson was a visiting professor from England invited to Yume University 3 years ago. Indeed, which is the reason why this case has such profound implications. I'm going to put that emphasis on every highlighted word. The British Empire is at present our country's most valuable foreign ally. And as most of you will be aware, we have just signed a new treaty together after lengthy negotiations. There can't be anyone who hasn't heard of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. And yet, despite these delicate circumstances, the blood of an Englishman has been spilt on our soil, fee fi fo fum. You two are both undergraduates at the Imperial Yume University, are you not? Murdering a professor from the very institution that provides your education. Have you no honor? Is this the trial already? But I didn't do it. This case is coming under great scrutiny from our allies on the other side of the world. The court therefore wishes for a speedy resolution to this matter. In other words, our feeble government is scared of upsetting England's policymakers. And you're a convenient and expendable scapegoat to blame for this crime. So that's why this trial has these unusual peculiarities, is it? Exactly. Our government needs to convict someone as quickly as possible. All because the victim was an Englishman. Yes, Dr. Wilson was an Englishman. But nationalities and treaties won't make any difference for me here. The fact is, I was there at the scene of the crime. Oh dear, look at the time. I'd better be going. Alright, I'll see you later. I think I'll stay and enjoy this place a little longer. I think I put the exact same emphasis on that sentence as the last time I read it. Good idea. After all, it's not every day you get to visit a high-class Western restaurant like this. See you in English class tomorrow then, partner. The British Empire. Wow, it's incredible to think. Wait. I've seen that man at university. I'm sure he's a visiting professor from Great Britain. I don't know his name, but still, I should go and say hello. So I went over to the professor's table and introduced myself to Dr. Wilson. Now then, let me pose my next question to Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. How did this professor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson, lose his life? State before the court the cause of death. The cause of death? Well, obviously, that was, Ryunosuke. Remember that in court, every assertion must be backed up by evidence. By evidence? But how? Find the piece of evidence that shows the professor's cause of death and select Present. Do it now. Okay, the university collar pin, proof that I'm a student at the Imperial Yume University. I always wear it on the collar of my uniform jacket. And the post-mortem report, death occurred a little after 2 p.m. and was caused by loss of blood from a gunshot to the chest. The bullet did not pass through the victim's body. We can look a little closer. Examine. go. And that's single bullet fired at close range. Fatal hemorrhage from pectoral ballistic trauma. No exit wound. Bullet did not pass through the body. Okay, present.
Yes!
Well, according to this document, the victim suffered a hemorrhagic death due to gunshot trauma. Listen to you. Let's learn to read, you imbecile. The irony of that statement just now. That's the post-mortem report, I take it. Sorry, yes, that's right. The, post-mortem report. In the West, a doctor dissects corpses to identify the cause of death in an autopsy. But here in Japan, a police officer merely inspects the body and draws conclusions that way. Now I see. As long as I'm not going to be tested on any of this later. This is a so-called photographic print of the scene of the crime. You can clearly discern scorch marks around the bullet hole produced by the powder explosion. In other words, we should assume that the victim was shot at close range. Thank you, counsel. The court will accept this modern scientific evidence into the record. The photographic print of the victim has been entered into the court record. Shot from the front in the chest, subsequently died, not in the heart. So that's a photographic print. Well, that's something I've never seen before. It's clearly superior to a drawing. The detail is incredible. I want to point out that there's actual photos of samurai. I'm not sure exactly what year this happens in, but I mean, I guess there probably still were rare enough that he may not have seen one. But anyway, very well. I'm satisfied with your answers. Let us start the trial. I mean, you know, the samurai clothing. That doesn't necessarily mean they came over in like the closed period. It could have possibly been very early into the opening of Japan. So if this happens like closer to 1900, there's a few decades in between where there could have been photographs taken of samurai. Anyway, let us start the trial. I mean, after all, look at his getup. Certainly, Your Excellency. So, without further ado, in order to better apprise the court with the facts of the case, the prosecution hereby calls its first witness, who was there at the scene of the crime when it happened. This is it, then. I think I may have worked out what the professor had in mind. The professor? You mean Dr. Mikotoba? Yes. Clearly, you're the defense lawyer today, not me, but that doesn't mean... Well, I can still act as your assistant. Ah, of course. When he was speaking with me before, he simply said, Kazuma Asogi must not be the defense lawyer in this trial. He really has been sticking his oar in it, hasn't he? Maybe, but any help you can give me would be greatly appreciated, Kazuma. Well, my first piece of advice is, rein in that crazy look of bewilderment and control the cold sweats. Only if you rein in that crazy headband and control the cold stares first. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court, please. Osunaga. Of course, my name is Satoru Osunaga. I am the head waiter at a Western-style restaurant called Le Carnival. Ahem. Are you alright? You seem to be coughing up some, It's a regular occurrence. It really doesn't bother me. Well, it really should. As everyone knows, the capital's southeastern quarter was developed for foreign visitors some years ago. It's become a very fashionable district now, full of hotels to accommodate overseas guests. This grim crime occurred in one of the district's so-called restaurants, an Occidental eatery 3 days ago. Understood. Osunaga-san, you will kindly tell the court everything you can about the incident. At once, sir. And no petty interjections from the aspiring lawyer boy, please. But that's my thing. Oh, perspiring, maybe, but aspiring? It was just after 2 p.m. on the day in question. We have few diners at that time of day. The lunchtime rush was over, and there were only 3 tables still occupied. That fits in with my memory of it, too. There was hardly anyone else in that place. The most gentlest and gentlemanly of coughs. It was when I was in the kitchen putting away crockery and cutlery. A gunshot rang out, so I hurried out to the dining area to see what had happened. I found the victim, an English gentleman, slumped in his chair. And standing immediately beside him, gun in hand, was the accused university student.
Yes!
Hold on. Let me just clarify something here. While I did pick up a gun that I found lying on the floor beside the professor, I didn't shoot him.
Attention!
I believe I asked you to refrain from petty interjections. The court wishes to listen to the witness's report of what he saw, you amateur. But the next time you interrupt at an inappropriate time, you will be penalized, Defendant Naruhodo. Don't worry, Ryunosuke. You'll have your chance to fight back. For now, we must just quietly listen to the witness. If I may confirm one point, waiter, standing beside the victim with a gun in his hand was the same man we see here today in court? Yes, without question. I see. Naruhodo. And apart from the accused, was there anyone else standing beside the victim? No. There was no one else around that table but the deceased Englishman and the university student. Huh? Wait, what did he just say? There was no one else around that table? What's the matter, Ryunosuke? That's just not right. When I went over to Dr. Wilson to say hello, there was a woman sitting opposite him at his table. Really? And that's not something the waiter could have missed. I've been warned about interjecting, but still, what should I do? Well, I mean, I guess we were told to wait. We wait for cross-examination, right? I desperately want to say something, but I was told not to interject. Ryunosuke, if your parents tell you to study, you're the kind of man who would diligently get to work, aren't you? I suppose I am. I never got into Yume University otherwise. But you can't just always follow the rules in life, you know. If you don't say what you want to say right now, you'll seriously regret it when you're found guilty. All right, you've scared me. I won't forget that piece of advice in a hurry. And there is something I want to say. I'm just going to shut my eyes and say it.
Yes!
Just a moment, please. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone that day. I'm sure of it. There was a lady sitting with him at the same table.
Attention!
Dear me, what are we going to do with you? With your blatant disregard for your court proceedings, I'm beginning to wonder if you're not a fraud. Could it be that the accused, this mere student, is not a real lawyer after all? But I'm sure of what I saw. Osanaga-san, is there any chance you are mistaken? Perhaps your memory of events is hazy? No. The deceased gentleman came to dine alone. I don't believe it. Ahem. I actually have a rough plan of the restaurant as it was that day. Please, have a look if you'd like to. Let me see. A sketch of the establishment's layout, drawn by yourself, I presume. That's right. I'm afraid I used the back of my business card. It was a turbulent situation. However, as you can see, the gentleman in question was seated alone. Well, you're clearly a very conscientious waiter. Thank you, sir. The court will take this plan and add it to the court record as evidence. Well, is there a problem? Hand the plan to the court officer at once. Of course, here you are. What was that about? He's been completely calm and collected until now. Something certainly seems to have shaken him. The waiter's business card has been entered into the court record. The head waiter's business card, a sketch of the restaurant's layout, is on the back. So, the court has now heard a precis? How do you pronounce that? A precis of the case? Yes. At the moment the gunshot was heard in the restaurant, the only person in close proximity to the victim was the defendant on trial today. It would seem we are looking at a black and white case here. Defendant Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency. If you admit your guilt at this stage, the court is willing to look mercifully upon you. In other words, you may have some small reprieve in terms of your inevitable punishment. I called this waiter as an unsworn witness in order to explain the details of the case to the court. But I must warn the defense if you are determined to pursue matters further in this trial. The prosecution has decisive evidence from sworn witnesses who were present at the scene of the crime. Objection. Witnesses? What do you think I should do, Kazuma? What do you mean? Well, I'm going to be found guilty one way or another, it seems. But wouldn't it be sensible to plead guilty at this stage and hope for a more lenient sentence? Everyone keeps telling me that this trial is unusual, about these peculiarities. You've said it, Professor Mikotoba said it, and so has the judge and the prosecution. I'm scared of what lies ahead if I push this. As I said from the outset, I believe you're innocent. I trust you. And yet, despite knowing that, you're willing now to throw that trust back in my face? Is that it? What? If the accused is in fact innocent, then a defense lawyer is duty-bound to prove that innocence by whatever means necessary. Are you just going to abandon that duty? Are you going to give up on yourself? The battle hasn't even begun yet, Ryunosuke. The defense pleads not guilty, Your Excellency. We invite the prosecution to stop making empty threats and bring out its witnesses. Then we'll see how decisive this evidence really is. Okay. Indeed. Prosecutor Aochi, please continue with proceedings. Well, you were warned. The young can be so reckless. You know, many call me a saint, but I can be a devil when I want to be. In a few short moments from now, that dumbstruck young mouth of yours will be silenced forever. The prosecution calls its next witnesses. Very well. Officer, bring forth the witnesses at once. Oh boy. 2 more voices. Witnesses, kindly state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. The great Nippon Imperial Army Sergeant excuse me. Iyasa Nosa, reporting for duty, sir. Myself, I find employ as a purveyor of fine articles of antiquity from the efflorescence of our nation, Nippon, and conduct my trade from Raste, a humble premises in the 2nd District, Kyuryo Korekuda, at your service. Korekuta. An antique dealer and a soldier? What an unusual pairing. Both of these gentlemen were present at the restaurant on the day in question. They must be diners at the other table the waiter mentioned. Myself, I habitually take tea of the most exquisite aroma at the establishment in question, always post-noon. And not infrequently converse with interested parties regarding the curios with which I make my business. I can't understand a word that old man is saying. I feel something is Something's probably missing in translation here because the guy is probably either using a dialect or using very formal Japanese. He's an antique dealer, and it sounds like he's a regular at Le Carnival. He seeks out potential customers who may have an interest in antiques and tries to sell his wares to them. He obviously targets Le Carnival because it is a high-class restaurant with a rich clientele. Right, I see. Although, to be honest, the sergeant looks more like he'd be a seller rather than a buyer. Now, you both witnessed the precise moment of this most atrocious incident. Is that correct?
Affirmative. The enemy unit was seen attacking the corridor in what can only be described as an act of war, sir. It was that black uniformed rogue infantryman over there who unloaded his firearm, sir.
This man's as impossible to understand as the other. But I'm almost sure I heard a strange noise during that last thing he said. So this is the decisive evidence the prosecution was threatening. The soldier is claiming that he actually saw the precise moment you shot the victim dead. Yes. Well, are you starting to feel uncomfortable? If I'm honest, I was feeling uncomfortable from the start.
Now, the court will hear your formal testimony, please. You will state everything you saw at the precise moment that the incident occurred. Sir, yes, sir. Standing by.
What the hell was that?
Standing by, ready to report, sir.
Unsavory memories of a most acerbic afternoon. Witness testimony. I'm just going to go with it. This is going to be an extra long opening episode, mostly because nobody watches the series after the first couple episodes. What the witnesses saw.
I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man.
And myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman.
At that precise moment,
a firearm was discharged. That's the sound he made, huh? When he slams his hand down, it sounds like a gunshot.
I observed the enemy's action with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back, the cowardly little weasel,
I was on my hands and knees investigating the whereabouts of my mysteriously absconded precious curio.
Well, so you, Sergeant Nosa, actually witnessed the vital moment. You saw the split second when the defendant fired the weapon at the victim. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. That wicked university...
Is that him going, yeah? So does he actually have more of, like, this voice? I don't...
That wicked university cadet, sir. The cruel and unforgivable enemy.
What times we live in when an English gentleman may be assailed in the broad daylight of day.
But this is ridiculous. I didn't shoot anyone.
Is that really true, Ryunosuke? Yes, all I did was pick up the gun that I saw lying on the floor. So, a few things here. I hate to get ahead of all of this, but gunshot was on this side, we're on that side. Supposedly, there was no one else in the restaurant who could have possibly done this, except there are two guys right here. And one just said, I shot him in the back, when the photograph said I shot him in the front. I mean, obviously we know we're innocent, but this is a little bit obvious. After I said hello to Dr. Wilson, I went back to my table and sat drinking some coffee. Then, when I'd finished, I got up from my seat to leave the restaurant, when I noticed an English-made gun next to the chair where the professor was sitting. I thought perhaps the professor had dropped it. So I bent down, and just as I was picking it up, bang. Well, if that's the truth, there was obviously a criminal on the scene somewhere. And somewhere in these two witnesses' testimonies, there's a clue as to who that criminal was. There is?
Ryunosuke, you must exercise your right to cross-examine the witnesses.
Cross-examine?
Do it now. As we've heard, Your Excellency, there is no room for doubt in the testimony of these witnesses. The defendant is clearly guilty. It is time to bring this despicable student to justice. Certainly. The testimony the court has just heard eliminates any vestige of doubt. Therefore, it is my grave duty to declare the verdict of this... What in the name of the Emperor is the meaning of this outburst? The defense demands its right to a cross-examination. Dear me, dear me. Let me guess, the Hachimaki headband boy next door told me to do it. How pathetic. Huh? How did he know? The prosecution objects. This is a clear waste of time. The defendant obviously has no experience. How can he possibly carry out a cross-examination?
Objection!
The defense is asserting its right to a cross-examination. Whether or not you think he's capable of it is irrelevant. Kazuma is so commanding. Very well. Let the defense conduct a cross-examination of the witnesses. All right, this is where the battle really begins, Ryunosuke. But I don't even know what I have to do in a cross-examination. Isn't it obvious? You have to expose the lies in the witnesses' statements. How? You didn't fire the gun, which means what the soldier said has to be a lie. Well, yes, but it's just a case of proving it, and the key to doing that is evidence. Right, evidence. All you need to do is present some decisive and indisputable evidence that proves the witness is lying. Now, let's go, Ryunosuke. Don't let them beat you. Wet sponge. All right then, it's all or nothing. What the witnesses saw. I was ingesting a regulation beefsteak at the restaurant while having a tactical discussion with the old man. Myself, I was extolling the virtues of a particularly fine golden curio to the military gentleman. Okay, I'm not... we've already gone through this. The precise moment a firearm was discharged. So, is that what pressing is? I saw it with my own eyes. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian, and from the back!
Yes!
So this black uniformed university cadet, you're saying that was... I've just had just about enough of this, I've had just enough of... Fuck me. I have had just about enough of your sauce, cadet. Who else do you see around here in black uniform, Okay, but we're not focusing on the black uniform. Well, there's someone standing right next to me who fits the description as well, but... It was you, you little weasel. You unloaded the firearm on that man from behind his back, and you call yourself a citizen of the great empire of Nippon? You disgust me. Is this where I can present, or... What is it, Ryunosuke? I'm not quite sure. It's something the sergeant just said, but I can't put my finger on it. There's something playing on my mind. In that case, check back over the details of the evidence you've gathered in the court record. And if you find an inconsistency there with what the witness just said, then don't hold back. Present the evidence to the court. Thrust it in the witness's face, and make him choke on it. Can I do that now? Apparently not. Apparently not now. Whoa, go back. Wait. I can't go back? Can I present?
Yes!
That statement is clearly odd. That's not the one I wanted to talk about, though. What appears to be odd is the way you're presenting yourself. Oh, pay no attention, Your Excellency. Fuck! So I missed the opportunity to do that?
Okay. I need to prove myself innocent. How do we go back, though? Why wasn't it? Didn't give me an option to present that before. Wait. Fuck. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Listen, Ryunosuke. We know there are lies lurking in these statements. It's time to expose them. Oh, okay, now I get to do that. I understand that. The question is how? Like I said before, the key to this is using evidence that you've collected. You can examine and present evidence while a witness is giving testimony by pressing E. Go through each witness statement and the details about each piece of evidence and compare all the facts. Somewhere in there, you'll find something that doesn't add up. In other words, an inconsistency. An inconsistency. When you find a statement and a piece of evidence that seem to contradict each other, present your evidence with R and rip the witness apart. Just be careful, because if you assert a contradiction that has no basis, you'll be given a penalty. If you're dealt too many penalties, the defense's case will fall apart, and you'll receive a guilty verdict. So that's it. Peruse the evidence in the court record and find an inconsistency with a witness's statement. Alright, I'll give it a try. I kind of wish that had come up before it had given me the option to even do it in the first place. If we're just going through a tutorial here, you can hear the witness's statements over and over again as many times as you like. So keep your head and be measured in your attack. Good luck, partner. Okay, yeah. Go to the next one. You can't choose these ones. That actually sucks. Okay.
Yes!
No. Come on. What? What are you playing at, cadet? What is the meaning of this subordination? Subordination? Thrusting some photographic print in my mustache. Inconsistency, sir. I mean, yes. There's a clear inconsistency here. What nonsense. What can this print possibly tell us that we don't already know? Well, obviously, that, I know what I want to say, but the words just won't come out of my mouth. I think this proves beyond any doubt, Your Excellency, that there is no place for an amateur student here in this grand courtroom. This is so frustrating, especially since I can't choose. We gotta go through this melodrama. Oh, please. Surely this doesn't require an explanation. It couldn't be more plain. To spell it out would be an insult to the court. Kazuma, what? What are you talking about? It's apparent from a single glance at the photographic prints presented by the defense that there's a clear discrepancy here with the sergeant's statement. What? Sergeant, yes, no, sir. Yes, no, sir. Yes, no, sir. Yes, sir. What, sir? The statement you just made was this. The black uniformed varsity cadet fired on the English civilian from the back, that cowardly little weasel. Yes, sir. Affirmative, sir. I witnessed the crime with my own military-grade eyes, sir.
Yes.
But no, that just can't be. And why not, cadet? Because... Take a close look at the print. The victim, Dr. Wilson, died from a bullet wound to the chest. Sergeant, according to your witness statement, the culprit shot the victim from behind. And that is the obvious discrepancy here. Well, how do you explain it? Oh. Well, what was that? Something just popped up from behind his back, but he pushed it down again. Certainly, there is a clear discrepancy with the facts here. Would you not agree, Sergeant Nosa? Yes, sir. At this juncture, that
would appear to be indisputable. Until the moment I heard the firearm discharge, my eyes were firmly fixed on the delicious La Carnival steak, sir.
Nani?
The last testimony the court heard has proven one thing beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness, Sergeant Iesanosa, did not see the defendant firing a gun at all.
That's absurd.
I think the conclusion we must draw is simple. There is no place for an amateur prosecutor here in this grand courtroom.
Yeah.
There's been a complete turnabout in the mood of this trial, just from one discrepancy. So this is what being an ace attorney is all about.
Yeah, but I definitely saw him.
That university cadet, there, he was pointing the firearm directly at the victim's back.
Yes!
But I never fired the gun. All I did was pick it up off the floor. And you, old man, you didn't see the moment the victim was shot either?
And myself, I've already been quite clear. The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
Too busy on the floor? Sorry, what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure.
Treasure.
Indeed, the Hoei-era Koban, my prized coin. On each occasion when I visit that restaurant, it is my habitude to place in my bosom pocket a particular trinket of interest from my shop, Rasute.
In the hope of meeting a rich diner who might like to buy it from you?
On the day under scrutiny, it was to the military man that I proffered my Hoei treasure. Believe that he would purchase such a rare find, I did not, but I was presented with little alternative. And then, after averting my eyes for the briefest of moments, it was there no more. It simply vanished.
The Koban vanished?
Hunting around under the table, I was, in case mayhap it had fallen there. Oh, I was. He talks like Yoda. Hunting around the table I was, and then it happened.
You heard the gunshot, you mean?
Indeed I did, but I heeded it not, for I was concerned only with finding my absconded Hoei treasure. Nothing could distract me.
Out of interest, did you find the coin in the end?
No.
I see.
That lamentable day, the precious Hoei Koban was lost to me. No doubt some unscrupulous scoundrel pocketed the prize coin for himself.
As I'm sure everyone present is aware, this case demands a swift and decisive resolution. Our government has promised to send a full report to Great Britain by telegraph this very afternoon. That's one hell of a wire. Nevertheless, the witness testimony the court has just heard was inconclusive. No matter how subservient our government feels it must be to the British, it would be unforgivable to deliver a verdict on this trial right now. What is your position, Prosecutor Aochi?
Worry not, Your Excellency. The defendant may have fled a tiger at the front gate, but he will find a wolf at the back. My witnesses have further testimony to make.
Explain.
Upon hearing their next statements, it will become abundantly clear that there is only one person who could possibly have committed this despicable crime. The equally despicable defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Nani?
He really seems to have a despicable opinion of you, doesn't he?
Very well. The court invites the witnesses to testify again. You will You will thoroughly explain the reasoning behind the prosecution's allegation. Is that clear?
As clear as Kiriko glass? I'm not sure what that is. Kiriko glass, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir. At once, sir. Awaiting signal to testify, sir.
Excuse me, but there's something, or someone peeking out over your shoulder, I think.
Affirmative. The newest member of the Nosa family to rise up through the ranks, sir. Name, Aido. It would seem those straps are a sign of the sergeant being too strapped to afford a nanny. I'm sure there's a lot of funny puns and play on words here, but again, lost in translation. Aido. Attention. Your father is about to quell the enemy. Watch and learn, my boy. More witness testimony. The true culprit. Even if what I saw wasn't the precise moment the firearm discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man, he was that young lad in black. That much I myself did see. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman. Over and out.
Yes!
Okay. Wait, that's nonsense. The victim, Dr. Wilson, wasn't alone at all. Please, enough of these outbursts already. But there was a woman. There was a young woman at his table. You must have seen her. Everyone there must have seen her.
Objection!
If you call yourself a lawyer, then you will respect the rules of the court and speak accordingly. We are not here to listen to your fantasies. It is evident, beyond all reasonable doubt, that the victim was alone at the time of the incident. The prosecution has photographic evidence of this fact. Is this a photographic print of the scene of the crime, counsel? I didn't put the old man on it. Indeed. Of the table at which the victim was dining, taken by an investigator immediately after the incident. As can plainly be seen, there is only one place set. Certainly. Based on the appearance of this print, it would be reasonable to conclude that the victim was not in the company of anyone else. It doesn't make any sense. The court will add this new photographic evidence to the record. The photographic print of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. A bottle of carbonated water, quote-unquote, carbonated water, and a steak lunch can be seen on the victim's table. We can have murder, we can't have alcohol. I don't understand. Let me look at this real quick, and maybe I'll better understand. I don't know what I'm actually supposed to be looking for in this one. I'm sure the game will tell me because it's like, okay. And in fact, it probably will tell me, hey, did you know you can actually look at those things? What's going on here? It's just not possible that nobody else saw that woman. The waiter before said the same thing. He maintains that Dr. Wilson came to the restaurant alone as well. But that's not true. I saw her. I swear that I saw a woman with him. It would seem that we'll be able to telegraph the report to Great Britain on time after all. The witness testimonies we've just heard leave no further room for doubt. These are very sensitive political times, as we all know. The ink is still fresh on the treaty with Great Britain. To think that I, Taketsuchi Aochi, will have contributed to the amity of these two great empires is an honor. How can this be happening? The judge is ready to rule. Stand tall, Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. What? If what you say is true, then there's something going on here behind the scenes. And now is your chance to expose it, to draw out the truth, in your cross-examination. I don't know, Kazuma. The defense is entitled to cross-examine the witnesses, but make it quick, understood? Rules can be so unbending at times. Cross-examination. The true culprit. It wasn't the precise moment it was discharged, it was almost the same thing. Yes, Yes, pointing his gun at the foreign man he was, a young lad in black. That much I myself did see.
Yes!
Yes, it may be true that I was holding the gun at that point in time, but I've told you already, that's only because I picked it up off the floor, and that's not what I was pressing him on. I was pressing him on the fact that he said he was so focused on his coin he couldn't see a damn thing. Well, obviously, as the culprit, that's the only way you could explain it away. I just finished drinking my coffee, and I was about to leave the restaurant when I noticed a gun on the floor at Dr. Wilson's feet, so I picked it up, and at exactly that moment... Yeah, okay, so we're replaying that. A gunshot rang in my ears. Full of events beyond our control, life is. Sorry? What do you mean? In your case, you found a pistol on the floor and picked it up, which precipitated this testing predicament. Whereas, conversely, I failed to pick up the Koban from the floor, and find myself in an equally testing predicament as a result. Anyway, the fact remains, myself, I did see you, with pistol in hand, standing over the foreigner. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed that we were the only personnel present. Yes, indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. Therefore, no one other than the black uniformed cadet could have dispatched the Englishman over and out.
Yes!
I guess we can press on this, but why aren't you telling the truth? What? What did you say, cadet? I clearly remember. There was a woman sitting across the table from the professor. Perhaps one of you might not have noticed, but for both of you to have failed to see the professor's dining companion, it's just not possible. Unfortunately for you, Defendant Naruhodo, it's just not a case of these two witnesses alone. Sorry? The waiter, whose testimony the court heard earlier, clearly stated the same thing. Yes, okay, so we're repeating this part. He also said the victim was alone. That's right. Precisely. In other words, you are the sole proponent of this phantom lady. But if such a woman were present at the scene, the prosecution demands to see proof. Well, the only other thing we have is the drawing. If no such proof exists, the prosecution demands no further mention of this phantom woman to be made. It is a blatant waste of the court's time. There's nothing I can say to that. Okay, can we get back to the testimony, please? Gee, Manise. What do you think, Ryunosuke? What's the matter? I can't find anything. I can't find a clear discrepancy anywhere. I'm done for. I can't win the trial. Oh, no. Listen, the first thing to do is calm down. You can't expect witness statements to be full of holes every time. So just take your time and try to tease more information out of them first. What do you mean? Do we have to press them on every single thing? You can use press or present against each of the witness statements. If a witness is saying something you're suspicious about, press him on it with Q. Okay, with a little luck, you may get more details which could prove to be crucial. Right, I see. The important point is, there's no sense in holding back. If anything even slightly jars you, press the witnesses on it and press them hard. Alright. I'll press them. The professor wasn't alone in the restaurant, I'm sure of it. In one way or another, this cross-examination is going to prove I'm right. It's time to press them for what they're worth. Alright, here we go again.
Yes!
No, it's not the same thing at all. For a start, I didn't fire the gun. We have a difference of opinion on that. The opinion of a uniformed officer versus that of a fledgling cadet. I don't think so. Consider this, defendant. Just a moment ago, I blinked. Did you? Did you see it? Did you see me blink? How could I? And yet, it is an undeniable fact that I did blink. So there you have it. Have what? Attention! The sound of the firearm rang in my ears, and the very next moment, I saw you waving the gun at the Englishman. I think that says it all, don't you? And let us not forget the antiques dealer witnessed the accused in his most incriminating position as well. Isn't that so, Korakuta-san? Writing is good at the format. Okay, so we already pressed on this one. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed we were the only personnel there. Did I press on this as well? And we said that there was the other guy there? Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman dining all by himself. No, I did that one. Therefore, no one other than the black uniform cadet, and I pushed on that one. What do you think? Oh my god, do we have to do this again? Okay. I wish there was a skip. Why isn't there a skip? So we have to go to the third statement and push on that one, because I pushed on the other ones. Fuck. It's annoying as hell. No, fuck me. Ah! Why can't you go back to this? God, why isn't this anything like a game should be? Okay. Fuck. What exactly does this do? So this is where he was. And this doesn't, I mean... What's the back say? Fired at close range. This is the only thing that I can think that I'd have to bring this out, but I don't know where. I guess I'll just do... I'll press them on every single one. And I wish there was a skip. There's got to be a skip. Where's a G? Let me G. Key configuration. Cancel history. There's no skip. That's insanely annoying. Okay, so we know we did that one.
Yes!
Okay, we're just gonna zip on through all this stuff again. I'm pretty sure I picked all of the options up to this point.
Yes!
You must have noticed someone else's at Dr. Wilson's table. The lady was there. As you have been at pains to point out time and again, I feel I'm growing callous in my ears. And yet, no one else appears to have caught even a glimpse of this woman. Only there have been more people in the dining room. Unfortunately, it was already past 2 p.m. when it happened. Quiet time between lunch and dinners in any restaurant. There was a reason. What? This was found in the victim's evidence, you son of a... This was found in the victim's jacket pocket. What is that, Counsel? It is a medical report card, Your Excellency. It would seem that the victim had an appointment at a clinic prior to visiting the restaurant. Hotel clinic? Yes, there would indeed appear to be an entry for the date in question. 19th of November, noon, to past 1 p.m.
The very day of the incident. So the victim went for a late lunch following his appointment. The explanation couldn't be more simple. The prosecution felt no need to submit this evidence before, as it really has no bearing on the case. I wonder. What do you think, Ryunosuke? Huh? Well, it's hard to see how it could be related, really. Remember, you can request for it to be entered into the court record as evidence if you think it could be useful. Should I ask for the medical report card to be submitted for evidence or not? Yes, please.
Yes!
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to ask for that medical report card to be submitted as evidence, Your Excellency. On what grounds? The court has already heard conclusive witness testimony. Additional evidence would be extraneous. Not to mention that the victim's movements prior to his arrival at the restaurant are of no concern.
Objection!
Whether or not they are of concern is up to us to decide. We have a right to explore all possible avenues. I beg your pardon? You have no authority to refuse a perfectly valid request for the submission of evidence. Very well, the court will grant the defense's request. Youngsters these days are forever asserting their rights. It's a most disturbing trend. Officer, kindly add the victim's medical report card to the court record. The victim's medical report card has been entered into the court record. What we need right now is new clues. We have to explore things from every possible angle, even if they don't seem relevant at first. Right, I hear you. You can conspire to prolong this trial as much as you like, but it's the day after the festival already for you. Or perhaps you'd forgotten that these witness testimonies leave no room for doubt. Feel free to reiterate for the accused, Krokuta-san. Okay, I need... Well, I wanted to actually look. I didn't want to present just yet. So we have to go through this again. Excellent work, Ryunosuke. We've gleaned some new information now. Well, yes, but I don't feel like it changes much. I can't see it brings any real discrepancies to light. I wouldn't be so sure. Let me see that medical report card you got before. Oh, you mean this? Yes, this is a brand new piece of evidence, so perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Alright, before I'm blocked out of this with dialogue nonsense, I can't look at... Jesus. How exactly? You'll notice that some pieces of evidence bear a magnifying glass. These are the ones you may examine. Press space and you can take a closer look at the piece in question. Okay, yeah. Then use blah-de-da. Oh, we can flip it. To rotate the evidence in all directions and examine it from all angles. By using WASD. I see. It's got dual controls. I'm dual sticking my keyboard. You can move the crosshairs around to hunt for clues that may have been missed before. If the crosshairs start to pulsate, press space to investigate further. So, partner, I think you should take a closer look at this medical report card. See if there isn't something new to be learnt by examining it in more detail. Alright, I'll see what I can do. I need to use the arrow keys and WASD and space to inspect any areas of evidence that look suspicious. Dr. John Wilson, Ota Clinic. I mean, it's telling me this. Press space, he says. Okay, but before I do that, I wanna look. Dentist. There's no date. It wasn't stamped. Okay, well, let's look at that. It says Ota Clinic on this medical report card. I hate clinics almost as much as I hate hospitals and surgeries. Aren't they all the same? When I was 5, I caught the only cold I've ever had in my life. And I remember, even though I felt awful already, I had to have this hideous injection in my right arm. I'll never forget it. Ever in my whole life. Most people would give their right arm to have only had one cold in their whole life. Anyway, I don't think this is a clinic where they treat people for illnesses like that. Let's keep looking for clues. We don't want to miss anything. Right. It looks like this medical report card was first issued some time ago. It's probably a record of long-term treatment, that's why. With a family doctor, I imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Going to a doctor, I mean. As long as I'm alive, I'm never consulting one. Well, if you were dead, there'd be no point. So you don't like doctors, then? Why would you? Why would you? Why would you? They make you drink horrible-tasting medicine, they give you painful injections, and then they demand lots of money from you for the privilege. All when you're at your lowest ebb. You sound like a model patient. With a bad case of stubbornness, no less, for which the only cure is very bitter medicine indeed. Alright. No. Wrong one. Do I get to examine each of these, or is this all one thing? Let's have a look. This is some kind of medical history. Ah, and there's an entry for the day the professor was killed. Extraction of molar with topical anesthesia. Extraction of molar? You mean he had a tooth taken out? It would seem so. Just before the incident, he had a bad tooth removed. Perhaps they used laughing gas. That's the most modern practice in the West for pain relief. Yes, I've heard of this anesthesia. Although it's hard to believe there's anything that can actually stop you feeling pain. Ah, there's a cautionary note from the medical practitioner as well. Strictly no food or drink besides water for 3 hours post-procedure until anesthetic effects have passed. Really? Sounds like information worth bearing in mind. The medical report card's information has been updated in the court record. So he couldn't have been eating or drinking. With this new information, the meaning of that one particular statement totally changes. So I think it's time we listen to the testimony again, don't you? Definitely. Even when firearm discharged, it's almost the same thing. Yes, pointing his gun at the foreman he was. That much I saw myself. Furthermore, a visual search of the premises at the time confirmed we were the only personnel present. Is this where I present it? Can I see the history of these so I can actually know what comes next? No. Well, okay. I mean, let's try presenting this. Why not?
Yes!
The statement is clearly odd. Yeah, that's not the moment. I forget what he says. What appears to be odd is the way you're... Furthermore, a visual search of the premises, okay. Indeed, alone he was, the Englishman, dining all by himself. That's where we need it.
Yes!
You can tell when you got it right because everything goes quiet. Well, I think, About what are you wittering, lad? Call yourself a lawyer? I wish I could. But first and foremost, here, I'm the accused. Ryunosuke. Everyone stumbles on their words occasionally. Under the circumstances, I wouldn't worry about it. Thanks, Kazuma. I could see it quite clearly in that cross-examination you just carried out. When you raised your hand straight up like that, so purposefully, you knew exactly what it was you wanted to say. Don't feel like you have to choose your words carefully. Just say what you're thinking. All right, and thanks for the advice. Kurakuta-san, this is a medical report card belonging to the victim. I see, and I don't see. What of it, boy? Comparing what is written on this report card with your witness statement... Splat. Something clearly doesn't add up. Dear me, have you forgotten my words so soon, you amateur? Sorry, what? You are not to interrupt court proceedings with your amateurish drivel. But... let's see if I can explain it in words you might understand. It was after 2 p.m. in the afternoon when the victim was murdered at the restaurant. Whatever he may or may not have done before that time is completely irrelevant. But that's, Remember, Ryunosuke, you don't have to use clever language or fancy words. Just make your point. Your Excellency, I believe we're finished here. There is surely no need to prolong this trial further. The witness testimonies the court has heard have been clear and concise. The medical report card has no bearing on the matter at all, for the simple reason that there is no one else besides this pale-faced pupil who could possibly... This medical report card has nothing to do with the case? Do you really believe that? What? That outburst half petrified me, boy. Of course I believe it. How could it possibly be relevant? Perhaps because Hota Clinic, which issued the report card, is a dental clinic. A dental clinic? Is that supposed to mean something to me? Perhaps if I told you that the victim had just had a tooth extracted... What's this now? And furthermore, if I told you that as a result the victim had been forbidden from eating... Just what are you trying to say, Cadet? He had orders not to eat, so what? It's all written up in here. No food or drink other than water for 3 hours post-procedure while anesthesia wears off. Nani? No, that can't... Kurakura-san. What, boy, what? As you just heard, when he was killed, sometime shortly after 2 p.m., the victim couldn't have been eating anything at all. No. Additionally, there's more. You have assured the court with unwavering self-confidence that the victim was dining alone. But that cannot be possible. Because the victim, as we now know, had just had one of his teeth extracted and was still experiencing the effects of the anesthetic. Expertly done, partner. I'm afraid we may have to cut this trial halfway through if this doesn't end here soon. What is this nonsense, you little upstart? These are baseless accusations. Just look at this photographic evidence. You can clearly see the plate of food at the victim's table.
Objection!
Use your head. That's the very discrepancy we're talking about. Or can't you follow the logic? How dare you? I think it's fair to say that the tables in this restaurant case have turned. Wouldn't you agree, Ryunosuke? Huh? Yes, most definitely. So, having just undergone some dental surgery, the victim was unable to eat. Which leaves one very crucial conundrum. Who, in fact, was eating the pictured beefsteak? The court will hear the opinion of the defense on this new puzzle. I assume you're ready, counsel? Counsel? Oh, that means me, doesn't it? All right, the answer to this question is going to be pivotal. This is the start of your turning this trial around. Show them what you're made of. You got it. So, the person eating the steak at the victim's table must have been the unknown third party. The woman. Yeah? Yeah? Obviously, it can only have been someone else who was sitting at the professor's table.
Objection!
You will not let this go, will you? There was no such person. There was, because I saw her. When the incident occurred, we know that the victim couldn't have been eating anything, yet we have evidence of a half-eaten steak on his table. Therefore, the only logical conclusion is that there was somebody else there eating it. We have strong evidence to support our assertion. It's clear that these witness testimonies are unreliable. If the court decides to push through a ruling at this stage, we will lodge a formal complaint with the Ministry of Justice and pursue a fair retrial relentlessly. Kazuma, are you insane? You would take on the government? Don't worry, counsel. I have no issue with you. What do you mean? I have issue with them, those two witnesses in the stand.
None? What are you talking about? We have demonstrated with evidence that the victim was not alone. So, if it now turns out that the two of you deliberately lied when giving your testimonies, obviously you will be charged with perjury. Perjury? And since this is a murder trial, you will also be deemed complicit in the killing. Complicit? But murder? No! Hold it. Negative. There was no mention of this at the tactical meeting. I was just following orders. That's right, as the man says. Just say you never saw the gentlewoman. That's what they told us. Oh. What? What did you just say? Korakuta-san? Oh, no. You were just following orders? Now hold on, lad. I was, Say you never saw the gentlewoman. When you say gentlewoman, do you mean you saw the victim with a lady from overseas? What?
Objection!
What is the meaning of all this? These witnesses gave false statements? Is this true? You pair? That should be something probably like Omaira. Omaira? Just one simple slip of the tongue. Order. Counsel, explain what is going on here. It's painfully clear now. You tried to prevent these witnesses from telling the truth. Absolutely not. The prosecution knows nothing of this. Then who's behind this? Who tried to make you keep your mouths shut? Well, God, this would be a great cliffhanger to end the episode on. That's classified. I mean, we all know who it is, but... So, you're prepared to be tried as a conspirator to this murder, are you? You wouldn't. This can't be happening. Ryunosuke, judging from the way they're reacting to this, I'd say they were sworn to silence by someone with considerable influence. However, I don't believe Aochi had any idea about it. What are you saying? I mean, to wield that kind of influence, there are only a handful of possibilities. It could only have been the government, the military, or the police, I suppose. Well, any ideas about who might be behind this? If we can affirm who tried to silence these witnesses, then we can continue our pursuit. So, we need to name whoever it was that tried to make the witnesses keep their mouths shut. Of course, we'll need evidence before we make any firm accusations. Evidence that proves whoever it was really did wield his or her power here. But how? How can we possibly... Remember how we made progress before? We examined this piece of evidence in more detail and found a new clue as a result. Yes, that's right. Well, that's not the only piece of evidence we have, is it? We need to re-examine everything and make sure there's nothing we've missed. There's no time to lose. I want answers. If it's proven that these witnesses have been manipulated, I assure you the penalty will be severe. Please, wait, Your Excellency. I had no idea about any of this. I swear to every Shinto god. I knew nothing. And what does the defense have to say about all this, Well, Your Excellency, no time to think. I'm just going to have to close my eyes and shout out the first name that comes into my head. Besides the prosecution, the only person with the necessary influence to manipulate the witnesses is... Well, I'm thinking this guy. But is it this guy? Would it be? Could it be? I mean, should we just do this? Tell you what, we'll find out next time!